Hello. I want to talk today about what happens when everyday Americans dream the impossible. Often deciding to dream the impossible or do the impossible begins with a deep personal need or desire. It can be triggered by frustration, a deep longing, or even a moment of awakening. The human spirit tends to respond when it feels that there's something meaningful to fight for. The key question here is what makes a person believe that the impossible is even possible? Why, despite the odds, does the human heart yearn to do what others believe to be unattainable? Dreaming of the impossible is in itself a reflection of the human spirit's boundless potential. It's not just about desire, it's about a need to transcend the ordinary and reach for something even greater. We dream of the impossible because we are wired to seek meaning, purpose, and something beyond the confines of our current lives. The impossible represents a frontier, a space where growth, discovery, and self actualization happen. It represents the ultimate challenge to our limitations, something that if we ever never fully reach, reshapes our view of the world and ourselves. These dreams are often born from dissatisfaction within the status quo or a longing to make an impact or leave a mark. Sometimes it's a deeper inner calling, as though we were meant for something bigger than ourselves. And perhaps the impossible isn't just an external goal. It's a way of testing our internal boundaries and understanding who we truly are. The human spirit is a very complex thing, capable of tremendous faith and equally immense doubt. When an everyday person decides to pursue the impossible, their spirit is likely filled with both faith and doubt. The journey between these two emotions can be transformative. The spirit may feel empowered by a moment of clarity, but it will likely also face moments of isolation, fear, and uncertainty. There is a paradox: we dream of the impossible, yet the act of pursuing it often brings forth the greatest challenges, including doubt and fear. But why take the risk? It's because for many, the risk of not trying feels greater than the risk of failure. The yearning for growth, for change, for achievement, or simply for the challenge in itself propels us to keep moving forward even when the odds seem insurmountable. Risk is intrinsic to the pursuit of the impossible. It's part of the equation. The human spirit is naturally inclined to take risks when it feels called to do something much bigger. But why? Because life in its deepest sense is about evolving, stretching our boundaries, and becoming more than we ever were before. We take the risks because we believe in the possibility of transformation or reaching beyond the ordinary to discover something extraordinary about ourselves. The act of risk is in itself a declaration of faith in the unknown and in our capacity to handle whatever comes our way. Perhaps we take risks because deep down we know that the only real failure is never really trying. The pursuit itself is the act of courage, and that through it we grow. Even in failure, there are lessons, shifts in perspective, and an accumulation of resilience. So the risk is worth it because it's not just about succeeding, it's about who we become in the process. Failure is a natural part of the impossible. The truth is, we are often afraid of it, but in many ways, failure is a crucial part of any journey. What happens to the human spirit when we fail? Well, for some, it can be devastating, crushing dreams, shaking confidence to the very core. But for others, failure comes the birthplace of invention and reinvention, the chance to reassess, learn, and approach the challenge from a new angle. The spirit doesn't truly fail when it stumbles. It only fails when it gives up. The fear of failure might be paralyzing, but the human spirit is inherently resilient. We don't give up just because we encounter setbacks. We rise, we adapt, and we try again. Often our failures are the foundation upon which our future successes are built. Failure strips away the illusions and pushes us to confront our vulnerabilities. It teaches us humility, tenacity, and the importance of perseverance. In many ways, failing allows us to learn the true depth of our capabilities. It forces a spirit to dig deeper, to summon inner strength we may not have known was there. And even if the impossible remains out of reach, the journey itself leaves us personally transformed. Once someone sets out to do the impossible, they often tap into reserves of strength, determination, and creativity that they never knew they even had. The human spirit, when faced with seemingly insurmountable challenges, adapts and grows. As they push through obstacles, they begin to evolve into a new version of themselves. The impossible starts to feel like a series of small, manageable steps. For some, the impossible might be writing a book when they've never written before, or summiting a mountain that seemed insurmountable. It could be leaving a stable job to start a new career, or taking the leap to start a new business that carries real risks. It might even be pursuing a dangerous sport or activity, defying the limitations of the body and mind in the ways that require courage beyond measure. The impossible is personal. It's the challenge that calls us out of our comfort zone, that forces us to confront the unknown and grow into something more. Without risk, Franklin Roosevelt would never have overcome polio to become president, who brought Americans through the Depression and World War II. Without risk, Amelia Earhart would not have been the first woman to fly across the Atlantic when most said it could not be done. Without risk, we would not have astronauts, skyscrapers, or works of art. Although the journey to achieving the impossible is often personal, the human spirit often thrives when there's a sense of connection. Encouragement from others, whether friends, mentors, or even strangers, plays a crucial role in keeping the spirit alive. The realization that you believe in you can spark a sense of responsibility to not just succeed for yourself, but for the collective. Ultimately, attempting the impossible has the power to transform a person, not just the sense of achieving a goal, but in terms of how they see the world. The journey reshapes their identity, their perception of limitations, and their sense of purpose. The human spirit, in all of its fragility and strength, is defined not by the final outcome, but by the courage it took to take the first step. Are you dreaming of stepping out to do the impossible? Please go to mammothedge.com and take the life assessment. I would love to dream your dream with you.